Hello everyone and welcome to the Channel 5 News. I am Andrea Lee. Stay tuned for the details coming right up.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners. Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the private sector wants government's assistance in its recovery efforts following post-Maria looting. Idona Jean-Baptiste has that story.
Millions of dollars in losses to companies, and the Dominica Business Forum is calling for an explanation on what led to rampant looting on the private sector. The organization wants an inquiry into what it calls a lapse in the post-disaster security of the city. Executive Director of the Employers Federation, a member organization of DBF, took to a news conference on Thursday to flesh out the concern.
To put it simply, it was a mess. And the presentation that was made to the Prime Minister actually spoke of it as the impotency of the security forces in Dominica in the days following the storm. And I want to take the opportunity to send out strongly, we need an inquiry. And I'm saying that because it was tabled at a meeting the private sector held with the Prime Minister, and he did not accept the invitation of an inquiry. And I want to sum it all. The private sector needs an inquiry into why the police did not secure the investment of the people of this country and basically stood by while civilians and others ripped the private sector.
Joseph raised questions about the competency of the hierarchy of the police force in handling the matter.
And I'm not blaming the individual police officers who may not have acted. I'm blaming the brass, the leadership of the police force, and probably to go even further, probably even to the extent of the head of government in this country. We need to know why our police force did not secure the private sector investment and basically stood by and allowed things to go out of hand. Let me tell you, I stood by on the Friday following the storm. 4 tons of refined sugar was stolen and looted from the company of Joseph and Gabriel. And I made several calls and attempts to get the police down to Canefield, and they refused. I don't have to tell you that there's a direct relationship or direct correlation between security and business confidence. Where there's more security, there's greater business confidence. Where there's lesser security, there's lesser business confidence.
DBF's president, Severin Mackenzie, says the organization had advised businesses to secure their properties prior to the disaster.
Based on the experience of 1979, where we saw blatant looting of private properties after Hurricane David, we knew that, and we had also witnessed or heard the news of what was occurring in St. Martin and some of the other islands that were affected by Irma, that it was important to remind the private sector and also private citizens that in 1979 we experienced this looting, and it was important, but there were no actual recommendations as to what steps should be taken. We left it to the authorities.
A position paper by the Dominica Business Forum submitted to government on that and other issues has not yet gotten a response. Mackenzie says coming out of a recent conversation with Prime Minister Skerrit, he expects a formal response.
A recent report from the Office of the Dominica Olympic Committee says that over $150,000 remains unaccounted for. Kenny Williams has that story.
President of the umbrella body for sports here says acquiring funding from the International Olympic Committee has been challenging as the current administration recovers from poor management by the previous leaders. The current executive of the DOC has been in office for only 6 months.
The Dominican Olympic Committee, we have been working hard behind the scenes, trying to see how far we can get assistance to try and assist athletes and associations to get back on their feet, and also to look at some facilities around Dominica. We had a situation where when we came into office, we were faced with a difficult situation immediately, whereby we were asked to report on an account for over $150,000, which the previous administration was responsible for. We have not been able to do that yet. We have reached out to the members of the past administration on a number of occasions for assistance, and the International Olympic Committee told us that we would not be able to receive any financial assistance before those reports and accounting were submitted to them. But eventually we put forward some strong cases over the past months, and they have decided to not lift the ban completely, but they have decided to allow us to receive funding for our programs. Fortunately, because of the proposal we put forward to the International Olympic Committee, they have accepted the fact that this is a unique situation, and they have agreed to let us have some funding. But we still have to try our best to account for those figures.
The International Olympic Committee will have the final say in that regard. Meantime, Dominica Broadcasting Corporation's Jerome Burton and national athlete Brendan Williams recently made positive strides in sports. Burton was selected as a young reporter from a pool of applicants around the world to cover the Youth Olympic Games in Argentina in 2018. Williams was nominated and accepted as athletes representative for the Caribbean for the Commonwealth Games in 2018. He was chosen from a pool of over 50 applicants worldwide. Dr. believes these achievements are proud moments for Dominica and says the DOC is well on its way to regaining the respect of the IOC and the local sporting community.
The Dominica Olympic Committee, we made two submissions. One for the athletes representative for the Caribbean region, and we nominated one of our executive members, in person of Brendan Williams, and he was accepted. So he's the representative of the Caribbean region, the athletes representative for the Commonwealth Games, for the athletes representative. So that's a very important position which he has. We have to submit a whole CV for him, and there was something like over 50 applications worldwide. So for him to have been, for him to have got that position, it was something that we were very, very proud of. Just a couple of days ago, after again we submitted a nomination for young reporters, a program that the International Olympic Committee and PASO has for young reporters worldwide again to compete and cover the Olympic Game, the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires in Argentina in next year, and we just got confirmation that Mr. Jerome Burton of DBS, we nominated him, and he was accepted. And again, we are very, very proud that one of our nominees, have been given that kind of recognition. And even though I said myself, it just shows the level of regard and respect that the International Olympic Committee now has in the leadership of the Dominica Olympic Committee.
And that was President of the Dominica Olympic Committee throwing his support behind two Dominicans who made recent strides in sports. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Kenny Williams.
Prime Minister Skerrit says building a climate-resilient country was essential to Dominica's existence. Julian Morris explains.
The Prime Minister told the CARICOM UN Pledge Conference in New York the science of climate change shows that the warming of the seas was leading to more intense and wetter storms. Mr. Skerrit said, as a result, no commercial insurance firm would offer the insurance that Dominica needs. He says there is reason to worry that premiums on what insurance companies are prepared to insure will increase significantly, impacting the cost of recovery, as many donors will insist on insurance for many things.
Ultimately, the only route available to us is to build a nation resilient to climate change, rather than to insure against damages and losses caused to one that is not. That is why we are committed to creating the first climate-resilient nation. It is not an ill-considered promise. It is essential to our existence. We are prepared to be the game changer.
The Prime Minister says insurance to cover immediate relief needs is a good idea, but it would cost 3% of Dominica's GDP.
We also know that resilience is not just about buildings. It is about sustainable livelihoods. It is about resilient networks of energy and communications. It is about resilient agriculture and irrigation systems. These things have informed the Recovery and Rebuilding Plan and our prioritization of expenditures within the PDNA that we presented to you yesterday.
Mr. Skerrit said aid delivery can no longer be conducted in the way it has been traditionally done. The Prime Minister pointed to projects envisaged after Tropical Storm Ophelia in 2011 which have not materialized, stressing that something is wrong with the system.
This time around, faced with a 226% damage and loss, we cannot afford a repetition of normal. The PDNA has underscored that after years of social policies that led to a halving of poverty rates, any delay response to the challenges caused by Maria could lead to a reversal of our success. Poverty rates could increase, and our efforts at achieving the Sustainable Development Goals could be hampered. We therefore need to move quickly with the implementation of priority projects and programs. There must be delivery mechanisms that eliminate layers of bureaucracy between donors and beneficiaries, that shortens the distance between the two so that there can be responsive feedback and more immediate removals of what may be external issues and local obstacles. We have studied our own experiences carefully. We have looked around the world at how different countries have handled disasters in, for example, the US, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nepal, Haiti, and elsewhere in the Caribbean. And we have been working with DFID and the World Bank on a new execution agency. It will be a coordination war room, reducing duplication and redundancies, maximizing the local connectivity of projects and their developmental impact, employing a balance of international expertise and local knowledge with local ownership of a master plan. It will operate at the highest standards of transparency and financial management. Our intention is to appoint early the chair of a donor-driven supervisory board with clear control over assurance functions like audit and anti-fraud.
Julian Morris, Channel 5 News.
Homeowners have once again been cautioned to comply with building standards when rebuilding their houses. The word of caution came from Director of the Dominica Bureau of Standards, Dr. Steve John, who was addressing the opening ceremony of a national consultation on the Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code.
We right now seeing a number of persons involved in retrofitting or building their roofs and their infrastructure. We want to make an appeal to those who are currently involved in that activity to seek the advice of the new building standards that have been developed by the Planning and Housing Division. For example, the issue of 26-gauge galvanized sheet is basically being fed out of that system, in the sense that we see how those, what some people call them, paper galvanized, in terms of how they twisted based on the impact of the wind. So the recommendation right now is to use 24-gauge galvanized. Also, the recommendation also to eliminate the issue of nails and use screws, as opposed to having a more sturdy binding or connection with the wood, and the galvanized is being recommended. Also, the wood material is no longer any material, but the suggestion and the recommendation is to use grade 2 material.
John says the Bureau of Standards will be working with the relevant authorities to ensure an improved quality of construction material is imported into the country.
We will be working with the Planning and Housing Division very soon to monitor material that have been imported right now into the country as it pertains to construction. That is, while we are developing the standards, and the government will adopt the standards as national standards, we will work together with the stakeholders to ensure that some of the recommendations that are made in those documents by the Planning Division are implemented, in the sense that we will require all persons who are importing those materials in this country to have certificates accompanied the import to ensure that the material meet the requirements of the standards of this country.
Meantime, chairman of the regional project team for the Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code, Churchill Norbert, encouraged Dominicans involved in the construction industry to get certified in their profession.
We now have to recognize it's also an opportunity throughout the member states to have people who are certified as auditors, certified energy managers, certified solar installers. We need to certify our people, and I know that there is work being done throughout CARICOM, the various projects that you're undertaking, to build capacity of locals, because you have to be certified, or you have to have some level of certification. And you know it now. The language has changed. Not only do we have to have a degree, but now you have to be certified. If you're not certified, the world is saying you're not yet ready to undertake certain tasks.
500 people have lost their jobs in the private sector since Hurricane Maria. The Public Relations Officer of the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, Kenny Green, disclosed that the statistics came out of an ongoing assessment.
We've lost a substantial amount of employees in the membership base, close to 500 people. But that is also a fluid number, because with constant restructuring, you will find that that number may grow and then reduce as people get reallocated or reinserted based on either reduced roles or changes in roles or other facilities that are being put forward. But truth be told, it was a substantial blow to the continuity of people's lives as employees and functioning members of the society.
The DAIC's post-disaster needs assessment will help the organization better understand the challenges confronting individual businesses.
We currently have a needs assessment ongoing, which ends November 30th. And basically the needs assessment is to have the members establish what went wrong, what went bad, what do they need to get back into any form of shape so that they can function as businesses. For those who are not able to do so, we do offer assistance by actually doing this process for them. So if anyone is listening and wants to be part of this process, you can contact the DAIC for LISRA on 235-1962, and we will be able to help facilitate that process for you. Because of the issues with the looting, because of the issues with the physical damage, there's a lot of assessment that has to be done, and that assessment has to be done properly. Because if the assessment is not done properly, then the return from that exercise will be insufficient for people to get back to what we call BAU, business as usual.
Things have not been the same in Dominica since Hurricane Maria, but the Dominica Police Force is urging citizens to work with them as they do all in their power to secure the country. Here again is Kenny Williams.
Acting Deputy Chief of Police Davidson Valerie says the DPF is soliciting the help of the citizens in that regard.
I want to appeal to the public to cooperate with the police, to work with us. This is a very difficult time for Dominica. It is a difficult time for the police as well. Everyone has suffered loss. Everyone has some level of grievance, some pain. This is a time when we need to come together. This is not a time when we should be out committing offenses. This is not a time when we should be looking at opportunities to violate the law. So I want to appeal to the public. Keep up with the law, maintain the law. Stick with what is right. Do what is right. Help your brother, help your neighbor, but do not take those opportunities to be divisive, to be divisive, to destroy each other. We have, even after the hurricane, we have had certain reports, woundings and grievous bodily harm, and we even had an incident of a murder. This is not what you want people to be involved in. This is a time when people need to come together to cooperate with each other and to work with each other and to support the police, help the police, because we are stretched now. This is not the time you need to go into people's places and break into their places, because the cost and crime is enormous. We have to have police officers everywhere. And it is even more difficult when you find the people in these various communities are not cooperative. They are not assisting the police, they are not supporting the police, and they make the police work much harder. So I want to appeal to the public, to work with us, give us the support in the many areas that the police do have to function. The traffic arrangements around the city, in and around the city, cooperate with us so that we can avoid unnecessary unpleasantness and traffic accidents and so on. So this is what I would want. This is what I would want to urge our people in the public to come together, to help build Dominica, to make Dominica a better place, to minimize crime as much as possible, to assist the police in whatever way, in information, in following the correct traffic regulations, and ensuring that we make Dominica a safe place so that we can realize the recovery and the progress that is required for Dominica.
And that was the Acting Deputy Chief of Police reminding Dominicans to do their part in helping secure Dominica post-Hurricane Maria. I am Kenny Williams reporting for Channel 5 News.
And the president of the Dominica Council on Aging is calling on the public to look out for the country's vulnerable population in this post-Maria recovery era. Gloria Shillingford told the Channel 5 News that while no reports of elder abuse at emergency shelters have come to the fore, she would like it to stay that way. Shillingford recently visited with the elderly in the east of the island and says those individuals have been doing well post-Hurricane Maria.
We have visited as a board and our staff also a number of the elderly. A couple of days ago, we visited the entire east area. We went through Wesley, we went on to the Carib territory at Kinsel, Casibros. So during that time, we visited a number of shelters. We also made it our duty to visit every centenarian along that area. We found our centenarians happy enough, and as expected, some of them are a little concerned about what happened, but they are well looked after. And that is what I can report, and that's what we are happy about, because personally I know that this is one of the most vulnerable groups after any disaster, and it is our responsibility as a government, as the society that looks after the elderly, to ensure that they are in good stead.
The Council on Aging president says the government of Dominica has been helping the council to care for the elderly post-Maria, and overseas-based partners are also lending a hand in this regard.
We too are seeking support from our affiliates overseas. A number of them have been in touch with us. particularly Martinique. They have given us a lending hand, and they have supplied us with some foodstuff and other toiletries and other goods that we were able, as we went along, to leave at the centers and to also at the homes where the elderly persons are, particularly our centenarians. And we were also able to help out a few persons, even though they were not affiliated to us.
And apart from your affiliates in Martinique, I believe they are, what has the support or response been like from the regional community and international community in helping, in particular, the Council on Aging to look after our elderly in Dominica?
There is HelpAge International, which we are affiliated, and we have sent in a proposal to them seeking their assistance, and also to an international body whose I think the chair of that body is in Martinique. So they asked us, two of them visited with us, and they asked us to send in a proposal. That too we have done.
Are you aware of any deaths as a result of the storm? I mean, of the elderly in Dominica?
Yes, we know of one of them, I think in Colio. It's either Colio or Culibistri. Yes, she was at our last boards and affiliate meeting, and she did not make it. We also know since after the storm, we are not sure if it's because of the stress of it or just probably, let us say, God was ready for them. We have lost 4 of our centenarians, and this is not really common. We hardly lose 4 centenarians all in one go, but the deaths followed the hurricane, and that was in quick succession.
Now, I know that even before the hurricane hit the island, one of the concerns for the Council on Aging was the abuse of the elderly, especially financial abuse by relatives of the elderly. Given now that so many are in compromised housing situations or even at the resource center, how great is the concern, or what reports are coming in terms of taking advantage of the elderly in those communal settings, not just financially, but taking advantage of the elderly?
Okay, we have not had any reports, but we are quite aware that that was happening before, and the situation is ripe for it to continue to happen or to even bring it aboard. But we are meeting, and as we meet, we are speaking about ways in which we ourselves can get into the centers and to be able to speak to the persons, and if there are any problems, so that we can advocate on their behalf.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth, or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
You have been watching the Channel 5 News. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.